Welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review Time, something a little bit special. Now, we've already reviewed this, you might remember it from back in the day, so we're going to have a small recap. And we've got a mountain of aftermarket goodies for this. This is because this is going to be our big build for the summer. This is going to have everything we can find thrown at it. So we're down here, we've got replacement engines, cockpits, propellers, wheels, gear, you name it, it's got it. Plus the fact we've got a photo etch set for the inside, we've got masking sets, and we've got some fabric belts as well down there to go through. So to start with, if we have a look at the kit. So the kit itself said, we've looked at it before, but to be honest, it was like back in the day. This is the actual kit that we got. So this is a new tool, 1/32 scale FW190 F8. Not to be mistaken with the reboxing by Hasegawa, I think it was. Their 1/32 one. This one is a little bit more modern and up to date. Okay, so we'll slide this guy out. All right. So down in here, we just stand our box up. All right, if we have a quick run through what we get in the kit with the instructions. Okay, so usual thing, Revell's instructions, let's face it, it's never the best, but you know, they do the job. And we're just hoping now that obviously with their new kits coming along, obviously their new instructions are a lot better. Okay, so we've got a couple of options you can do down here. You can do it with the bombs. Okay, or you can do it with the drop tanks, depending if you're going to be having it on a stand. Yes, it does come with a stand, this one. I wouldn't call it the best stand in the world, but it does come with a stand, okay? So you can either do it gear up, gear down, which is quite a nice touch. Obviously opening up the holes as is required, usual thing to make your way through. Now ours, we're going to obviously deviate completely from all of this, but we'll just have a run through. Usual thing with the cockpit, it's quite detailed on this one. Some nice touches, including back panels, okay, and various things like that. So you've got instrument bezels coming through and stuff like that, which is quite a nice touch. The combing, the gear is this split gear business, which I absolutely detest. For the actual wheels, all right, it's easier painting the hubs, but you know, it's not a problem doing wheels these days. All right. Colours going on the inside, a little bit of paintwork down the back, so obviously you get some colour from the actual tail wheel area going up. Tail wheel being fitted in, and it goes together, which is a little bit different. Normally you put the cockpit in, but the cockpit with this one, very much like the Eduard one, goes in underneath after it's all been put together, which is quite a nice touch. Tops of the gun base, which we'll look at in a moment. The guns themselves, quite basic, just being put on. These are for the wing spar as it goes through. Onto the lower half, wheel bays go in. Okay, and then we've actually got down here, these are the gun chutes for the magazines for them, and the empty chutes where your empties drop out down the bottom. A little bit of framework for the engine. It said something that's going to be quite important for this particular kit, and then the wing sections going together, those being put up, wings going off tops to bottom, as you might imagine. The flaps, which is something else we've got to look at, we're going to see in a moment. Okay. Very nice on this kit because it's actually got positional tail planes because they're separate fits, separate rudders, things like that, those all going in. This lovely engine, which actually from the kit isn't too bad. We've got a replacement which we'll look at in a moment, but generally not too bad straight out of the box if you wanted to go down that route. Okay, and then it's about putting in the engine, the main gear going on, the gangly old gear on these things, so obviously make sure your alignment's correct and everything else like that. Okay, use your references on here. Gear up, gear down, canopy being fitted on, and then obviously depending if you want the engine all being shown or closed up, you can obviously put on the actual different areas around them for the panels for the access to the engine. The gun system, which is again something we've got down here, very detailed, will be going in, all right, but we've got the kit parts down here, again open or closed right the way through. The boarding step going in or out. The aerials and various things going in there, different bits on the canopy as you can imagine, and then we've got sway braces and the pylons for the fuel tanks and the bombs all being fitted in there like that, those all going in there, and then the prop goes on the front. Again, we've got another one of those, all right, and then obviously the stands being put together and in you go. So generally it's not too bad. We've got some markings down here, so we've got Czech territory 1945 as in black 6, we've got black 2, same area, is it? Yep, same one. Just different markings. Again, this is something we're going to be doing on here. It's all going to be about fading, weathering, mottling, and all those things. I get asked for mottling so much, that's why I've ended up doing this one. Okay, I thought we could really show it in depth about mottling and doing that type of thing, freehand and with masks, and right the way as we go through. Okay, the decals out of the box, which to be honest I think we're going to stick with, which is they're not too bad at all, as we can see these down here. You've got them. We'll go a little bit on the close-up. You see that actually, although it's that usual thing, they're very flat. They're very, very minimal carrier film with it. So in my mind, they're not too bad at all. As I said, lots of changes with this particular one. You have got the seat belts down here as well if you wanted to do them like it. Quite a nice touch. Now, the kit itself, we have, as I say, they used to do the Hasegawa one, which was the longer nose one. I can't remember its designation now, but it had the different engine with the longer nose on it. It was actually always a nice kit, so it was quite a thing when they came up with a new tool. So looking down on here, we just move the camera in a little bit closer. Apologies on the camera, it is playing up big time today. Okay, I think we need a new one. All right, so as you can see, it's not massive panel lines and riveting on here, but to be honest, you know, we can put a lot of this in ourselves. Yes, there is a bit of flash all over it. You might be able to see on the tail here, we've got quite a bit of flash going down here. But generally, as I remember last time, apart from the odd simp mark in it, it's not too bad. Last time we had to recreate all of this framing on the inside and things like that. This time it's all in there. There's no details really on the inside, as you can't imagine, because everything is going to be put up into it and everything else like that. But generally, it's recessed panel lining. It's pretty good, no problem with it at all. The riveting's quite nice. It's actually got the domed heads on it as well. Something we're going to be looking at when we do this particular build and working our way through it. But generally, not too bad whatsoever on there. Basically the same on the other side, but we've got some different areas on here, as you can see. You might see we've got lots of flash on all these parts and various things. This is your typical type of Revell. It's a cheaper kit, but the quality's all there. Just needs a bit of cleaning up and tidying up and things like that, which is fair enough, okay? So we will be doing quite a bit of tidying up and sorting it out and everything else, but as you can see, it's generally all there. It's just like down, for instance, these little vents down here on the side, you see for the exhaust, they're absolutely covered in flash. They're going to be digging out and all the rest of it. The wing section, this is the underside one piece underneath, which you see is quite a nice little touch down there. Again, it's got very nice detail, all the access panels and everything else going down there. These, the way it's moulded, it looks like there's separate pieces going in there, which is again a very nice touch and everything else in there. So generally, as you can see, no problems with this at all. You might be able to notice you get this sort of framework. This is where it's going to be showing for all the parts that are going to go in here. Just be careful with your ejector pins, making sure they're flush and out of the way because they can interfere with joining them up. But and also remember to open up all these holes. All right. And then we go in here, down in here. As you can see, we've got a plethora of engine parts down in here and the props and everything else like that. Okay, so down in here, one little nice touch is these guys. So down in here, as you can see, we've actually got very nice detail and textures and everything else going in for the wheel wells. Always like those. That's a very nice touch on those. This is the spar system, which is going to be underneath, okay, and fitted in as we saw it before. But generally looking around, the prop, which we have got a replacement prop for it, isn't too bad right out of the bat. A lot of these parts down here, you might be able to see it, actually aren't too bad. They're very nicely detailed. The engine work, everything else like that. The instrument panel, you can see just down on here and everything else. The gun barrels are a little bit horrible. Spinner cap, all the different parts to this. The exhaust system, you might be able to see it down here. We have got small little openings. It wouldn't hurt to open those up a little bit more just to make those all come in. But you can see even on the blind side with the moulding, with these engines and all the things like that, generally very, very nice. No problem with it whatsoever. All the parts on this tend to be pretty good. And as you can see actually on this sprue, flash and things like that isn't too much of a problem. The only thing you do notice, yeah, we can see it quite clearly here on the props, got a lot of burring, the actual seams, the sandwich line between all of this and everything else. The cockpit itself, as you can see, not too bad down in there. That's okay, but as I said, we've got a full replacement one, so look out. Okay, so down in here we have the let's do the top side. So we've got gear up, gear down if you wanted to, with the actual doors, as you can see down here. The gear themselves, you see, is quite sparse. We're going to liven ours up, obviously, with various bits and pieces down the aftermarket route. These are the gun chutes, very nice. It's got raised riveting detail all on those, which is a nice touch. The antenna, so we've got the hoop antenna there as well. We've got the wheel set for the rear is in this 2/2 business, which I thought it said on the other one it was split, but there we go. right the way through. So you've got your gear up, gear down, because obviously with gear up you would use this little guy down on here because you can still see it, gear down. Then we got these two halves as well. The fuel tank as well, centerline tank, looks very nice, and nice crisp sharp details on those. We've got the rear part down there for the underneath, okay, and everything else. And even on the blind side, got a few ejector pins down here. These are all going to need cleaning up before we use it. It's a shame to see these in here. Unfortunately Revell haven't really jumped on that thing of getting them out of the way yet. Okay, so down here we got one of the is it the fuel tank or the bomb set? It's the fuel tanks for the wing tanks, just down on here, just a single one. And then we have this one over here. This is where we got the wheels. Let me get it out here. Here we go. This bag touches where it fits. So again, as you can see, we've actually got the bombs down here for the smaller bombs, and then obviously the second fuel tanks, as we can see them on there. The sway braces aren't too bad at all. I think they're all quite nice. Here's a used pair. And again, no real problem. It's difficult actually because some of the parts have got quite a lot of flash on, and other ones like this are pretty minimal. There's hardly anything. There just doesn't seem to be that much consistency with the kit itself. Okay, this is your wheels. So as you say, we've got replacements coming in for this, but you can see what we're on about. So this is your hubs if you want to do for the wheels, and then we've got the main wheels there. So you do have lots of options for wheels, whichever way you wanted to do it. Okay, and right the way through. All right. The only thing is a little bit of a shame we don't have weight on wheels, so you haven't got any flat spots, so you're going to have to put them in yourself, or do what we're going to do is go down the aftermarket route. This one here is just a duplicate of the other one. And then in here we have the stand, which as you'll see isn't exactly much. Okay. So just down on here, this is your stand, that's it. Pole, hook, very reminiscent to a TIE fighter. Okay, wing spar, we can see down there, we've got a little bit of detail down in there, so that's quite nice. As you can see it all on there. And then the wings, so this is your top side of the wings. Again, there is no riveting detail to this on the tops whatsoever, which is something we're going to have a go at doing on this one. We're going to re-rivet the entire thing. Okay, so we've got the front cowl, and then obviously the very front on the end of that. The rudder, okay, the actual ailerons over here, generally not too bad at all. Nice that we've got the upper detail in the top half of the wing for obviously for the flaps when they drop down. Again, it is all positionable as well, the control surfaces, so we can do it just like that. And then this little guy is the gun domes which go down each side of the wings roots, I do believe. Quite nice that we've actually got the zipping, if you like, which is for the mesh for the hinge itself, so that's quite a nice touch on those. Actually, no, it's not. That isn't, because that's these guys here I was thinking of, and they're moulded in. So that one there must be the one off the front of the engine. Okay, it's the engine one, but again, it's quite nice because you have got the zipping, so you could have it open or closed. Last up, the clear parts, which are horribly chucked in a bag, no protection, no nothing, which is downright yucky. As you can see, we have two. What have we got? Two. So we've got 4 types in here, or are they just done C twice? No. Okay, so obviously different variants and versions and things like that. This is the square top one, this is the rounded off one. That's your difference on here. To be honest, I don't know if you use these ones, but if you do, these are horrible, absolutely horrible. Let's hope it's not, and it's using these, because I don't know how well you can see them, but you can see it's wobbly, it's distorted, it's like looking through very bad glass. Okay, they are nothing short of terrible. Okay, they are really, really bad. I don't know if you can see that. Is that release agent, or is it? No, that is in there. I thought it was release agent. It looks like it's got oil on it. Oh, you can see it there. You catch it. Look at that. That's just plain nasty. You wait. It will be this. No, it's not this version. Surely the F-8, I think, is the curved top. Dear God, let it be this one, because these are not too bad. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than the others. And as I say, we've got 2 there. So you've got the more humped type, I think, and the straightforward one. Okay, so one's a little bit shorter, is it? I don't know actually. No, I don't know. Slightly different profile perhaps on both, but generally quite a nice touch. So you got 104, 105. We looked at this, I remember this from the first time. This front glass, you might be able to see it down on here. You see how it's distorting? We're looking at this one. That is nasty as well. You know, to be honest, there's a lot of manufacturers out there now have nailed completely clear parts. You know, they know what they're doing with it. They've got them set up and they're absolutely fantastic. These, not so. Okay, so starting off, we've got down here, we have got, these are the Czech, I can't remember their name now, HGW harness set. So this is what we're going to be doing. Actually, we did a set of these when we demoed them. I just need to find them now. But generally, there we go. That's the harnesses. They actually make a real difference. Highly recommend these guys. So we've got the mast set as well for the top. We have got the riveting thing and all the rest of it, but I'm going to do it the other way. I think we're actually going to do it manually. But we have got the fabric belts down there, all the little harnesses and everything else. These are probably one of the best upgrades you can give your model after an ejector seat on a jet. If you're doing Second World War, fit it with these harnesses. The way they lay in there or you hang them out and everything else looks so realistic. It really is very, very nice with those. Okay, so we got those. Okay, the other thing we got down here is, I won't bother getting it out because obviously we do all of this, but this is the photo etch set. This is colour for the instrument panel and the side ones. Again, I think it's very hard to do this manually when you can do it for the sake of £7 or £8 and do a shortcut and do this guy, because I can't paint any of these details as you would before, so we're going to be using that one with it. And then we got these. Okay, so down here, I've got to remember the name now, this is the Sin kit. Okay, 63207. So this one actually contains the following. So it's got the wheels, it's got the legs done in bronze, it's got the engine, the propeller, and another mask set by the looks of it. Okay, so this is actually what it contains. Now these aren't cheap, but actually they work out a lot cheaper to buy it like this than it would be to buy them all in separates. Okay, so what you've actually got is multiple sets down here, and they've done a little book here, but this is what you're actually going to get, and this is the business end. This is the full engine for this one. You have to build it, you need to put it together. As you can see, it's not going to be a straightforward job, but it's going to be well worth the effort. I think we're going to have ours all shown, exposed and everything else, but it is a beautiful piece of work. All right, so you've got all the parts, and then obviously we've got the bits for doing all the panels going on there, the doors and everything else onto this one. But as you can probably see, it's going to take a while, and it's going to be one of those things where we're going to spend a little bit of time literally just working on this thing. So these are all the parts that are going to make up the actual engine itself. Now the engine itself is in this bag, and as you can see, you do get a very large bag with it. So I'm not going to bother getting all of these out because, to be honest, we'll be here all week going through this review. I know this is a super review, I think we're going to call this, a new super review. So, I don't know, perhaps we will. Okay, so as you can see here, this is our exhaust pipes, and immediately you can see off the bat how much better and nicer these are compared to perhaps the parts that you might find in the kit. Okay, same type of thing though, we still got the same type of hollowing on the end, but you know, at the end of the day we can open those up a little bit more and just make them a little bit nicer. So the framework, these are the engine mounting, okay, and everything else, so they're down there just like that. And then you're obviously going to get the replacement doors, and this is where it's going to come into its own because we saw them before, but the detail you might notice on these is in another class. Okay, complete to the outside, this comes with all the riveting. Now this is your dilemma, because if you don't re-rivet the entire thing, it's going to look a little bit odd that you've got riveting at the front end and not the rear, so that's why we're going to have to do the entire thing. But hopefully you can see these are beautifully cast, very, very thin, and quite frankly are gorgeous. Okay, so they are very, very nice indeed. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them back in the bags as we go, purely because otherwise I'm going to lose them and then we're going to be in a world of pain, or they're going to break. Okay, so we're just going to pop that in there. Packaging wise, I didn't think it was brilliant, but nothing seems to have been broken. So okay, so as we can see down here, we're just going to tip these out and have a poke through what we get in here. So as you can see, we've got the engine bits and pieces, multiple parts for the cylinders, for the pot stool to go on and everything else like that. This is the fan off the front, okay, that can be opened up to obviously let more air in. And as you can probably see, some beautiful work. This engine on its own is a little mini model. Okay, they're very, very nice, extremely well done. That's the actual main mount itself. Okay, scoops, okay, and a pin off the front for the prop. Again, very, very nicely done. Okay, so as I said, it's one of those things where, you know, if you're going to invest in something, perhaps you want to make a focal point on your model. You know, as you say, if you're doing a jet aircraft, you're usually going to do the cockpit. If you're doing a prop aircraft, you're usually going to do the engine, because that's where it's all to. Okay, so you can probably see, I won't bother getting these ones out, but you've got all the parts down in here, beautifully done. And this detail down in here is absolutely exquisite. Quite frankly, nothing short of stunning. Now, to be honest, I did have a look in here, only through the bags though, and was blown away by the detail. So again, you can see down in here all of these bags with the cylinders. You've got the pots in here. Okay, they are amazing detail. When you compare them to the kit, and to be honest, I thought the kit ones weren't too bad. At the time, I was thinking, yeah, I'll tell you what, that's quite good. You could do this out of the box. Then I got a whiff of one of these sets, and I was like, ah, right, scrap it. We're going to go down this route. Okay. So we'll just pop this one in here. Okay. Then the other things you get are, we have the mask set for it. Okay, so we've got them anyway, but hey ho, you can never have enough. We have the photo etch. This is for the engine. So down here it's for things like the mounts, but this is all the wiring, which, to be honest, you could go down the lead wire, you know, route with it. But actually, I'm tending to think that this is definitely going to be a lot easier. Okay, so that is really, really nice. You can see down here we've got replacement doors for the aircraft itself, which are far better. So now we don't have ejector pins to worry about in the door. These are amazing. These are brass and look great unpainted. If I could even get it out, right, you little. But look at these. These are absolutely fantastic. Now the big thing is with the aircraft, the gear is very, very fragile with it. This should cure that problem. Okay, as we know, 190s and the way they stand, it's like an accident waiting to happen. Okay, these guys, metal, fantastic. We should have no problem with those at all. Okay, wheels. Okay, again, we don't have weight on wheels, but with resin it's a lot easier to do it. Okay, you can just sand them in. Hubs. Okay, so you're gonna have to take the centers out, and away we go. We've got hubs down there for each side, and we can put those in, so that's no problem with those. And we have the props, which also we have props elsewhere, because I made a bit of a mistake and ended up buying more. So these props, they do come as a separate. So we got replacement props. They're slightly different the way they've done. Another fan system off of here, so technically you're duplicating them. Okay, and the little hub at the front, but we have got a little tool here, so you actually get the geometry right of these fitted in, the pitch of the blade, and everything else is done for you. Okay, which should show us just down in here. As you can see, we've got this set up, so you actually place it down in there, and then that way when you put in the blades, as you can see, you get the correct pitch to exactly where they are and how this goes in. But as I say, we've got a small bit of duplication here because we've got this in the other one as well. All right, but it's not a problem. The gear, as you can imagine, for the gear set is going to be very straightforward. So it just shows it down here. So we've got the metal one going to go into the door, and then we've got our own wheels going in, and then obviously just making sure we get the correct angles. As you can imagine, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of fiddling around. And then last but no means least, we actually have the tyres showing you down there on the tyres. Okay, so actually it's fitting it to the hub and the tail. We have got the mask set as well to mask the tyres if you wanted to, and do them just like that. But it doesn't stop there. As I said, this is a super build. We don't do things by half. Okay, so we went crazy and then we got this. Okay, so down here you can see this is the cockpit. And the gun deck and everything else. So down in here, this is SIN 63206. I love the way it's SIN, it should be. Okay, so down here we've got the cockpit, the MG131 mounts, and the landing flaps, which is the photo etch part for this one. So just down in here, again, what we actually get, okay, is harness set. To be honest, we've got the JHG one. As I say, there is going to be overlaps with this. The cockpit, as you can imagine, we've got the full cockpit set, and we've got the photo etch to go in there, and we've also got our colour photo etch with it as well. Okay, and we've also got the other one down there for showing the details around the actual canopy set and everything else. Okay, as well as we've also got the gun deck. Okay, so we've got the gun deck just down on here, so we've got all the details and everything for the gun deck in front of the cockpit. Obviously we're going to have ours with it all opened up. You can see we've got replacement sheets and things like that. and it's all going to fit in there just like so. Again, monster bits. So down in here we have the cockpit and all the cockpit parts, as you can imagine. So straight off the bat, you can compare this one to the kit one. It's in a world of its own, as you can imagine. All right, that's what you're actually going in with. And then we've got bags of all your bits and pieces down here, so being very careful how we handle this. But we've got seat cushions, we've got instrument panels, we've got everything you can imagine to make us a proper cockpit and make it a lot easier and detailed and everything else like that. Okay, so that is quite a nice little add-on to be doing with all of this. Okay, so if you were going down that route, that is definitely a beautiful upgrade to do. Okay, so these are obviously the photo etch belts, and there's a little bit more down in there, so obviously doing the work for the metal and everything else like that. Okay, again, we've got the other one. The flaps, so as you can see, metal flaps, everything else like that, as you can imagine, going in. So we're going to use those. A lot more detailed, obviously a lot more in scale than obviously you'd find with the plastic, but it's photo etch, so it's a hell of a lot more work. Last up, we have the gun area and parts. So just being a little bit careful, but this is a beautiful thing. So this top cowling, you can probably see the detail is a million times more than what we had before, and when you turn it over, obviously we're going to have it exposed. That's really what we're paying for. Okay, so that's going to save a lot of work doing that. Then we got the magazines, the weapon chutes, the ammo chutes just down there like that. The actual gun deck itself with all the hosing and wiring and everything pre-molded in, which is a beautiful little touch. Some more, and we've actually got the M31s of these, 131 guns, I think we said they were. So there we go, that's those, beautifully done. Yes, all right, I did think about going down the old turned brass route and all the rest of it, because there are some nice ones, but actually these are quite something else. They're very, very nice on there, just like that. Okay, and there we go, that is it. This is going to be our big super build for the summer. So if you are thinking about getting these parts in, and perhaps you need a bit of time, they're quite scarce to buy the sets in the UK. Obviously you can go direct to Eduard, you'll be able to get all the bits and pieces there. But in the UK, I know I picked up the last few of them and everything else like that. If you wanted to be honest, I've got them over here. I've had these floating around for over a year. You can buy the wheel sets separately if you just wanted to do the wheels, and if you wanted to put the correct props on it, you can do it that way as well. You don't have to go out and buy these entire sets. The only thing is though, if you are going to buy the entire thing, it does work out a lot cheaper to buy the SIN sets than it actually does buy them individually. Quite a bit cheaper. The engine on its alone is something like 28 quid, okay, and all the rest of it. So, you know, by the time you add all the bits, it is quite a saving to do these ones. But basically, it's the FW190 F-8 part 1 set, and this is part 2, I do believe. Is it part 2? Yes, part 2. So between both of those, you'll have it all covered, apart from the colour photo etch set and the fabric harnesses. Okay, that's the only two things that we've done slightly separate and everything else. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. A bit of a what I call a super review with everything you can get for it to really turn a box standard out of the box kit into something absolutely amazing. This is, to say, going to be our big one for the summer, so I'm hoping to start this. It's probably going to be done after I've done the group builds, so I've got an Osprey to do and things like that. So at the moment, in my list of everything, I'm hoping to have this one started early summer. Okay, and it's obviously going to be a little bit of work, so it's going to be a couple of weeks just doing all the little bits and pieces and things like that. But obviously here on Flory Models, we'll be showing you in depth, live, cock-ups and all, and absolutely everything, doing the engines, doing the cockpits and all the sub-assemblies, and then bringing it all together. But this one's going to be covering as well a lot on re-riveting work, and then obviously we're going to be talking about fading, weathering, German colours, and then obviously going in with things like modelling techniques and stuff like that to get this great type of paintwork that you see on these aircraft. So there we go, that is the Revell's 132nd FW190 with everything you can throw at it from Eduard.